when I was a teenager, I had a real personal experience with God. And in that experience, I began to see myself differently. And I began to see everybody as somebody that God loved and that I wanted to love. But there was no vehicle for that. I now remember going to school on the school bus that my uncle drove on a cold day, and we passed the black children walking to school, and it was cold. And I went home that day and asked my mother, I said, why are they walking and we're not? And she said, they don't have school buses. And I thought that was the strangest thing.
We would be upset walking because you did have the school bus and we didn't. Mm-hmm. Sheriff Wyatt, everybody knew him for sure. But for me, he was the biggest, most intimidating person in the community. One evening, Sheriff Wyatt knocked on the door, Daddy answered, and he came in with his flashlight. And Sheriff Wyatt pulled the covers down to look in the bed to see if the moonshine runner was there. And of course, it scared me to death. I was probably 14 years old at the time. My family were not the drinkers, and we were not involved in moonshining in any kind of way. The big guys were the owners of the moonshine stills and had the runners who were black guys.
They did the dangerous work, yes.
Right, and they were the ones who were caught and arrested. But it seemed that for me, that his job was only arresting black men. And I always wondered about that. And your book helped me to try to understand.
As far as our interaction, I was really surprised that you thought he had never arrested a white person. And I never even thought to ask when I'm writing. I mean, I just assumed that he did. But I can see why, when you live in isolation, you don't know.
With everything being all separate, even though it was not separate and equal, it was separate and unequal. That unequal part was certainly there for me to only see that.
I mean, I have had black bosses, I have had black coworkers, I've had black friends, and I've gotten along well with them, but I have never talked about racial differences on an honest level like you and I have, and I hope that we will continue to do.
And I do as well. Even though we didn't know each other and we didn't have the occasion to meet each other until recently, growing up in Greene County, though, we knew the same type of things, especially in that rural area where it was not just living there, but it was pure survival. Mama would make biscuits from scratch, and we had butter that we had chewing, and we had syrup that was made, and
sausage that we made.
And sausage that was made. And
on hog killing day.
My sister and I always hated, and we cried a lot of times when they would kill the chickens to be cooked, because we had named them and they became our pets.
In our talking with each other, we discovered, to our delight, that we both had Sears Roebuck paper dolls. I would get one doll. My mother taught me how to do this. One of the things is being able to make do. So that's what we were doing with the Sears catalog. We cut one little girl out, and then I could cut out all the dresses in the catalog. To this day, believe that my interest in fashions, which I've done a little with in modeling and stuff, came from those paper dolls. Elizabeth was playing with the same thing.
Yeah.